It's that time again. Prep1 podcast is back. What's up, everybody?
Sir. Yes, sir. We are back. Week
So this
3, episode 3.
episode 3, and it's been an exciting venture. Wouldn't you say that, Jerry, to say the least so far?
Oh, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, especially being able to watch all these kids, week after week really show up and perform to their best. And, we get every week it's a new surprise coming, and it's been real fun.
Yeah, I know, and it's been great. So far, the only thing that's not great right now is maybe the jersey you're wearing, but hey, that's, that might be another thing.
Jealousy's not really, suiting for you, Ryan, but it's all right.
No, but you know what? We're here ready to tackle on another exciting week of high school sports. We're ready. Labor Day weekend. We've got the fresh cuts, and we're ready to go. So I think the only thing left to do now is to roll that intro.
Roll it.
Awesome, and we're back. So before we dive into the cross-country talks, I want to make sure everybody who's either tuning in on YouTube or if you guys are listening on Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, whatever source you might be using, please make sure that you like and subscribe, okay? Like and subscribe below. Go ahead and click that button. And if you are listening on any of the audio podcasts, please make sure to leave a 5-star rating or any sort of review. It helps our channel grow. It helps the podcast grow. And remember, guys, we are trying to promote these local youth athletes. So the larger audience and more eyes we get on the podcast, the better chance we get at getting a lot of these high school kids recruited. Wouldn't you say, Jerry?
Yes. Help us, help them. Help us, help you. Get your family, get your friend, get involved in this. You can subscribe and also follow us on all our social media platforms. We're constantly posting things. We're constantly posting results of games, results of track meets, cross-country meets, everything. We're constantly putting everything on there at Twitter, Instagram, Prep1 Podcast. And also on TikTok, we have the Prep1 Podcast. Okay, follow us there as well and look for us to go live whenever we're at the games of the week.
Awesome, thanks. And I guess with that being said, I guess we can go ahead and dive right into our cross-country portion of the show. And I'll let you take that away, Jerry.
Oh, yes, sir. Here we have our cross-country for week 3 results. We had 2 big meets here in El Paso this past week. None of the teams really went out of town, so everyone was really competing with everyone. Everyone stayed local here, which was great. It was a lot of great competition. The bigger of the 2 meets was the Eastwood Invitational, happened Friday evening. Okay, here you had Luis Pastor, a name you're going to constantly be hearing all year.
It's already in my memory.
Place there.
Already in my memory.
Exactly. And then look at number 2, Daniel Romero out of Tornillo High School. Like I said, every week they're going to be competing against each other. They're always going to be right there. And they also have number 3, have Diego Flores out of Franklin getting that 3rd place spot. And the teams results for the boys there, you have Franklin number 1, Eastwood number 2, Coronado at number 3. The girls' results out of that meet, you have Abigail Piñon out of Franklin going number 1. Number 2, you have Emily Orr out of Franklin going number 2. And then number 3, Adeline Rodriguez out of Eastwood coming in at number 3 again, not allowing Franklin to sweep the top 3 there. Good for her. There a lot of great competition. And if you notice the times, not a real big difference in the timing of either the boys or girls finishing here. So they're constantly staying close in these races.
I mean, seconds apart.
For the team results there, in the team results here, you got Franklin number 1, Eastwood number 2, and Socorro number 3. And let me tell you, Ryan, those Franklin boys and girls teams, those Eastwood boys and girls teams, look out for them to really be competing against each other a lot because they're always first and second in the meets that they're coming in, really competing against each other, and both of them being 6A. Look at them in that district and that state meet.
Hey, well, I'm looking right now at the top 3 in those girls' results, and between Abigail Piñon and Adeline Rodriguez, you've got what, a 10-second span between 1, 2, and 3. Like that must have been a
Yep.
real tight, coming into that final stretch between those 3.
Oh yeah.
Hey, it just shows you how close the competition is, especially within schools. I mean, you got Franklin right there, 1 and 2, only 6 seconds apart. That says a lot right there, and how tough the competition is.
Yeah, and we've said it before, Ryan. That's the beauty of cross country and track, is you're able to compete against your own teammates, which makes you better every single week, makes your team better every week, leading up to those district and state meets. The other meet that we had locally, we had the Pebble Hills Invitational. Okay,
More
a little bit of a smaller meet, but still great
competition.
Exactly. All these, I mean, you're going to constantly hear these names. Especially number 1 out of Pebble Hills, you have Omer Ibrahim winning that one for the boys. Braulio Torres out of Chapin coming in second. That's a name we haven't heard before. You haven't heard. He came out big this past week. And then you also have Noen Castañeda at Pebble Hills as well, coming out for third place there. And like I said, Braulio Torres coming in second. That's another surprise there. You hadn't heard that name before, hadn't really seen that, and he comes out in this meet against a lot of good big names, and he gets second. The team results there.
Is that a PR by Braulio? Do you know? Is that a personal record?
I would assume so. You know what?
It's not. Like
I'm not going to say yes or no. But I would assume so, because this is the first I see him placing in one of these meets that Chapin has been in.
Top 3. All right, great.
Give it up to Chapin as well. As looking at these boys' results here, they get number 2 just behind Pebble Hills, who got number 1, Chapin number 2, and Americas comes in at number 3 there. Again, even though it's a smaller meet,
shout out to Braulio. Shout out to Braulio out of Chapin, representing them Huskies.
Oh, definitely. And you'll be hearing that name a little bit later as well. Going over to the girls' results, you have Cassandra Jimenez, another familiar name, taking the win there for Montwood. You have Ellie Franco, again, another familiar name for Pebble Hills, taking it there. And what do you know? Natalie Rivera Alacanotillo, another name we've mentioned before here on the podcast. These girls, again, going to be competing all year long. The teams, you got Pebble Hills, Eastlake, and Americas coming in at 1, 2, and 3 for the girls' results there. Again, looking at the times, especially for the girls' results there, I mean, there's only a 5 to 6 second difference there. So, I mean, it's just it just shows you there how close these competitions are constantly being, every year.
Yeah, I mean, especially from the 1, 2, and 3. That's anybody could have taken that right there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, and now we hadn't done this before, but this week we have our top 10 going into week 4. Okay, I apologize for not doing the top 10 the past week, a couple of weeks, but we do going forward. I am going to have the top 10s for our cross country teams here, because they do deserve their recognition, because they're constantly, going out there and proving week in and week out. Number 1 for the boys, we'll start with the boys here. Number 1, we have Franklin, who a couple of weeks ago were at the South Lake Invitational out at South Lake Carroll, and they ended up taking 4th place out of that meet. And that was a huge meet in the state of Texas. You had pretty much all the Panhandle schools there. You had Franklin there. You had a bunch of Dallas schools there. It was a huge meet.
The DFW area.
Yes. And so pretty much it was pretty much a state competition before the state competition. And
I like that because I like that because when these cross country teams take these teams, especially if they're invitationals and get invited to these DFW meets and stuff, it's kind of like the same thing as in football. When these local teams will schedule the out of town opponents, to get them a better taste of what the competition's like. it's the same thing in cross country. They get to see
yeah.
some of the other runners in Texas that they're not used to seeing. I mean, you said it earlier. We see a lot of the same names week in and week out, so gives them a better taste of what the competition is going to be like in the East Texas and Central Texas and everything like that. So good for them.
Oh yeah, just you said it perfectly. Just you want to get that extra competition, because guess what? You're not going to see all these same names, especially you look at the boys. There you have, and then Pebble Hills, you have Tornillo there. Tornillo's not even in the same division, so you're not going to see those runners compete
Yeah,
at the state level because they're in different class levels. So you have Franklin number 1. Now moving on, you got Eastwood number 2. Okay, they're doing big things. You got Coronado number 3. Now Coronado, they are doing great because back a couple of weeks ago, last week I believe it was, they were up in Rio Rancho. They were up at that invitational there. That was like a Southwest regional invitational. You had teams from everywhere, from Arizona, from Colorado, all of New Mexico, everything. Coronado took second in that meet right there. They took second place. So that was a big one for them. So they are a force to reckon with. They are doing big things out there on the west side with those kids. Number 4, you have Pebble Hills. Number 6, you have Sanelli, the defending state champs. You have number 6, El Paso High. Number 7, Cathedral. Cathedral's always been a big cross-country school there, and they're always competing with all these big schools. Being a private school there, they've gotten a few cross-country state
they can
titles
find their
under
runners.
belt.
They find their runners there, that's for sure.
Oh, that's definitely. And you got number 8, Tornillo, number 9, Chapin, and number 10, America, is rounding off the top 10 for the boys here. Moving forward to the girls, again, number 1 and number 2, Franklin and Eastwood. I told you, look at those two schools. Those two schools are going to be competing, boys and girls.
Complete overall teams. Complete overall
They are just competing. And what I love, they're both 6A. So they're both going to really compete against each other come district time. Come state level, we're going to have good representation coming out of El Paso there. Number 3, you have Pebble Hills, who edged out Montwood this past weekend. Montwood, you get coming in number 4. Number 5, you have Eastlake. 6, El Paso High. 7, Hanks. 8, Canotillo. Number 9, Coronado. And number 10, Chapin, rounding off the girls' top 10. And that's your week 4 top 10 moving forward to this week's meets. Let's move on over to our Soaring 7. Okay, a lot of familiar names, some new ones, but mostly familiar names here. Number 1 out of Coronado, you got Luis Pastor. I believe he's gonna stay in that top 3 all year long. He's really, really good. You got to have him there. Omer Ibrahim out of Pebble Hills, he's doing great things. Consistent. Daniel Romero out of Tornillo. Again, those top 3, watch them fluctuate. They're going to be number 1, number 2. They're just going to be after each other all week. And I think this is the best thing for Daniel Romero coming out of Tornillo. Like I said, he's at a much lower, his school's at a much lower class level than Luis Pastor and Omer Ibrahim. So look for him to do big things.
He can compete with the best of them, though. He could compete with the best of them.
Beat the best, you got to beat the best. You know what I mean? So you got number 4, you got Cassandra Jimenez out of Bottonwood. Okay, she's always consistent. Like I said, Natalie Franco, consistent. You have all those names we've heard before. Names we haven't heard before. Mentioned them earlier. Out of Chapin, Braulio Torres. Okay?
Braulio!
Out of nowhere, takes second against a bunch of 6A schools at the Pebble Hills Invitational. Okay, hopefully he stays consistent. I look forward to calling his name more and more. That's what I want to do. I want these Soaring 7s to change, and that depends on you guys out there. That depends on you to really come out here and just prove yourself and prove to everybody that you're not just a name on a roster. You're out there to compete.
You got what it takes.
Yes, sir. And number 7, lastly, you have Abigail Pinon out of Franklin, okay, out of that one of those top Franklin teams. Okay, she's starting to make a name for herself coming out of there. She's showing as a leader, being the only Franklin, but she's coming out there, proving herself and putting her name out there at these meets. And that is your Soaring 7 for the cross country this week. And I look forward to seeing what comes up this coming week at these meets, and hope these kids just really start putting some more PRs out there.
Perfect. That's what I'm looking forward to, seeing everybody progress week in and week out. That's what the goal is, seeing these kids progress, and hopefully, they get enough recognition that they, in the long term, end up obtaining those collegiate scholarships, because that's what it's all about. You do well, and all these, prep athletes, they do well, and hopefully they get the recognition they deserve. And at the end of the day, if they're signing and come February, or any time until the end of until they graduate, once they sign, then I feel like, we've done good by these kids by really marketing them and letting them get their faces out there. But thanks, Jerry. That was a great recap when it comes to the cross country kiddos. And I think next up, we've got our volleyball girls. We like to show them some love, like always. So we're going to go ahead and go right into it and dive into the Tuesday volleyball recap, as well as some of the games that were on Friday as well. So a lot of games going on, a lot of 6A district battles already going on. So those are kind of the things that we're going to focus on. If you look right off the bat, Coronado Thunderbirds in a 6A battle against the Eastlake Falcons, they sweep the Falcons and they finished that one 3-0. El Paso High took care of Horizon 3-0 as well. Going on, staying in the 6A, in what maybe some might consider to be an upset, because Franklin was way up there in our rankings last week, but Franklin getting swept by the America's Trailblazers. A lot of us probably did not see that coming, but that just shows you how tough this 6A division is when it comes to volleyball. We saw it last week. Franklin taking on Coronado, Franklin defeating Coronado, and then a week later, Coronado taking it right back to Franklin in the tournament. And now you got America's taking it to Franklin.
And that's one thing you mentioned just there, Ryan. That's the beauty of volleyball. You're not going to see a one and done game. You're going to see them compete again. And the thing about this 6A, it's the biggest district right now coming out of El Paso. I believe you have 9 teams in there. So that's a huge district. That's a huge, you got to play at least 8 district games, okay, for your season. And in volleyball, pretty much you double that. So that's pretty much 16 games you're playing there automatically against district opponents.
Yeah. And again, like I said, you got Pebble Hills, sweeping El Dorado. So you see all these sweeps in 6A, Coronado, Americas, and Pebble Hills all sweeping. Eastwood falls to Centennial Hawks 3-1. So that one went to 4 sets. And Eastwood, was kind of one of those teams that had been building a lot of momentum. So hopefully, that loss didn't hurt them too much. We still got some more games that went on Tuesday, and some even going on Friday. As you can see, Coronado and Pebble Hills, okay, another 6A battle. They met on Friday, September 2nd. And look, Coronado takes that one 3-2. So that one went down to 5 sets, went down to the wire. And that again shows you just how tight that 6A conference is. Eastwood Troopers, they bounce back after that loss to Centennial and take down the El Dorado Aztecs, sweeping them 3-0. And Franklin, after getting swept themselves to Americas, bounced back against the Socorro Bulldogs and took them out 3-0 as well. Okay. And again, these aren't to say that not a lot of the other games were great. I mean, you look at, Riverside Parkland, they went to 5 sets. Riverside wins that one 3-2. But it's just the fact that it's district play for a lot of those 6A schools. And, each team, it just shows each team can beat each team. Just kind of depends how they come out. So every week they got to come out to play. Every single week they got to come out to play. So when it comes to volleyball, it's going to be tough week in and week out. Looking ahead at our Prep1 podcast, Soaring 7. Okay. This is based off of the games from the past week. Okay. Number 1 from Pebble Hills High School, we have Ariana Helbling. She finished that game with 32 assists and 3 kills in a win against El Dorado. And this is another familiar name. We've seen her before in our Prep1 Soaring 7. Number 2 out of Isleta High School, Mia Espinosa. She finished with 18 assists, 9 digs, and 4 aces in a win against the Young Women's Leadership Academy. Then we got at number 3 in our soaring 7, you got Coronado's Allie Miller. Okay. This is one that you don't hear too much, only because Coronado has so many athletes. But you know what? Allie Miller gets mentioned this week, finishing with 13 kills and 21 digs in a win against Eastlake. Going out into District 5A, number 4 out of Chapin High School, you got Tegan Rath. Tegan Rath had 20 assists and 3 aces in a win over Riverside. At number 5 in our soaring 7, you got Burgess's Crystal Dominguez. She finished with 20 kills in a win against Clint. Number 6 in our soaring 7, El Paso Highs, Juliana Salazar, 15 kills and 3 assists for El Paso's win against the Horizon Scorpions. And finally, number 7, out of America's High School, you have Isabella Nunez. She had 14 kills in that sweet victory against the Franklin Cougars. Okay, so again, what do you think of these performances, Jerry? I mean,
what I love about this, Ryan, is number 1 through number 7, this soaring 7 here, it's different schools all around. There's not a single repeating school on here. So this shows how great the volleyball competition is in El Paso. And it shows that these girls are just coming out each week, proving themselves. They're balling out, they're showing out, they're getting noticed, and that's what we want. And right here, I love seeing that the soaring 7, it's 7 different girls from 7 different schools, different classifications. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we were talking more about 6A because they're in district play, but on here, I mean, you had 3 6A girls here. The rest are 5A, and they're just really coming out and proving themselves, and it's showing how tough the competition here in El Paso is, and that I love seeing that, because come playoff time, that's going to be big.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be big. And you know what? So moving on now from our Prep 1 podcast soaring 7, we have our Prep 1 power rankings for week 5 of volleyball. A lot of movement already going on here. Last week's number 1, Franklin, has dropped down to number 3, and we have a new number 1 in the house. Another West Side battle. Coronado takes our number 1 spot in the rankings. Eastwood, they suffered that tough loss to Centennial, but they got another win in the weekend, and they move up to our number 2 spot. Franklin at number 3, Pebble Hills number 4, Mountwood number 5, and that alone right there shows you District 1 6A, 1 through 5. Every game matters. Every single game matters, because what you win one game, that might bump you up to number 2, 1. It just kind of depends. Looking down at number 6, you got the El Paso High Tigers. Number 7, the Burgess Mustangs. 8, the Eastlake Falcons. 9, the Jefferson Silver Foxes, and number 10, the Chapin Huskies. Okay, so this is our Prep 1's power rankings for week 5. Again, a lot of good games coming up. That's what we're about to highlight next. So just looking ahead, these are going to be some of the matchups for the upcoming week. So again, I'm not going to go through all of the list. I just want everybody to see, you've got Tornillo and Anthony facing off. So that's like the battle of El Paso County, if you will. You have 2 teams on complete opposite ends of the county. Yep, cross county, a little rivalry going on there. Some more 6A, and each week I'm just gonna say it. Every week it's 6A rivalries, because it's always gonna be, similar schools going up against each other. We already showed you, 1 through 5 in our top 5 is 6A, so that's gonna be tough week in and week out. Looking ahead even to some more of the Friday games, we've got some more here. You can see at the top. And just to highlight some of the top games this coming week, okay, some of the battles of our Prep 1 top 10. You have number 2 Eastwood at number 1 Coronado. That's going to be Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. Our number 3 Franklin takes on number 5 Mountwood, 6:30 p.m. as well. So look at that right there. Number 1, 2, 3, and 5 all going at it. And, depending how it goes, we might see some shuffling in the rankings again next week. In 5A, you got another tough district battles there. Uh, 7 versus 10. You got Burgess versus Chapin Tuesday night, 6:30, and finally you have the El Paso High Tigers versus the Jefferson Silver Foxes, number 6 versus number 9. So on Tuesday, tomorrow night, a lot of key matchups, a lot of stuff to be out there for. So if you have nothing to do at Tuesday night at 6:30, there's 4 key games that you can go out on the hardwood and, support these girls and show them that, all that hard work and stuff that they do matters, because those are going to be some great games to look out for. Let's see.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
yeah, volleyball, cross country, all heating up, getting right into the middle of their season. But, now what's left is football. And, football still, this is about to be week 3?
Yes,
Week
sir.
3
Week
of,
3,
yeah,
we've already got it.
week 3 of Texas high school football. So I'm going to go ahead and start by throwing up our scores. So if you look at our football week 2 recap, Jerry, what are some things that stick out to you?
This past week, I mean, there was a lot of good competition there. Some of them live up to the hype that they were. That one being Pebble Hills Del Valle. I thought Del Valle would have put up more of a fight on this game, but unfortunately, they didn't go their way. Pebble Hills showed how dominant they are, and that's why they get the win, 50-13, right there. So I mean that one honestly was a little bit of a disappointment, but I think Del Valle has some stuff to work on.
Yeah, that was one of those games where, you knew Pebble Hills had a standout defense, and you knew they were led by quarterback Gael Ochoa, so he's going to ball out. But, you saw such a dominating win last week by the Del Valle Conquistadores that, we were asking ourselves, is this team a pretender, or are they for real? And you know what? They kind of let us down this week. They kind of let us down. We thought it was going to be a much closer game, but hats off to the Pebble Hill Spartans. Coach Torres really's got his team prepared, and they took care of business where they needed to. Another big game, man. The Mountwood Rams and the San Angelo Central Bobcats out in San Angelo. I mean, obviously that was a game of no defense whatsoever. I think combined, Mountwood falls to them 49-52, but over a combined, 100 points. What can you say, man? It was back and forth game. Both teams had their chances. Again, it's one of those tough matchups where we always say, you schedule these tough opponents because they're going to be the teams you face in the playoffs. And, if you can handle them now, it gets you better prepared for the season. So Coach Family, he had some had some pains. There were some tough teams they played, but I think all it's going to do is get them ready for district play.
Oh yeah, and their district play for 6A is about to come up big, and like we said, it's the biggest district there, so they got 8 district games in a 10-game season to go through. So it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah, another one we can highlight. Oh, what do you think about that Eastwood Parkland game, Jerry? Were we expecting that? I mean, I know we predicted a Parkland win, both of us, but is this the kind of win we thought was going to happen?
You know what? No, I mean, I don't take anything away from Austin. I don't. They're struggling a little bit, but they are a good team. They have a good team out there. Parkland has a very good team. I don't think they've really shown what they've got yet. They're not really vibing well. I don't know what's happening. They really got to find their own. They got the win, but just barely over. In my opinion, I think Parkland's a way better team than that. I think moving forward they're gonna get better, but it's just I don't know. And like I said, against Austin, a 9-7 win over Austin, I give props to Austin, but I think Parkland, they have a lot to work on there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more with you when it comes to that. Other big games on our recap. The Hanks Knights and the El Paso High Tigers. Now that was a game, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys know this, okay, because this was a back and forth game. A lot of different things going out. Hanks coming off a really bad season last year, finally kind of getting into the roll of things. They came off a good win last week. The El Paso High Tigers are also coming into this game, off of a good win. I believe the newspaper, or I saw on Twitter, Coach Aguilar had some personal matters he had to take care of, so they were actually coming into this game without their head coach at the helm. Assistant coach Dave Cortinas was actually, taking the reins in this game, and had him in the game. And I'll tell you this, I kept checking in because, I was at a different game, but every time I look, it was like Hanks took the lead. El Paso took the lead. It was back and forth. And turns out this game came down to a gutsy 4th down call on a 4th down and 1 from the El Paso High Tigers' own 6-yard line. The Tigers gamble and they decide to go for it. All they need is the 1 yard. And, with less than a minute to go, they run a play. It's close, so close that they had to get a chain measurement on it. And by like half a football, they get the first down and they're able to just kneel it out for that final minute. But, that's a gutsy move. But you know what? That shows, the Tigers are coming out ready to play. You had some guys really step up in that game and, look for the Tigers to be on the come up.
Definitely.
And then let's see, the other game I think that we can mention is our Prep1's game of the week, or so we thought. So we thought it was the game of the week. I mean, if you wanted to see some offensive explosion, then that was the right game to go to, because I mean, we were at that game, and I'm gonna tell you right now, quarterback Evan Mijares from the Eastwood Troopers was on fire. It was like the kid could do no wrong. He'd throw up and he'd throw a pass up, and Curtis Murillo is coming out with a pass. Evan Macias is coming up with a pass. Every receiver he went to seemed like they were catching touchdown passes all night long. And the score might seem misleading, 63-35, but we'll be honest, that 35 points came up in third, fourth quarter mop up time. Starters were out already. They started pulling away. Credit Las Cruces Bulldogs. They hung in there in the first half. They were able to get 13 points off of a one long run and a 42-yard touchdown pass. But in this game, it was the Eastwood Troopers all offensively. They just
Eastwood. I mean, I take nothing, like I said, I give credit to do. Las Cruces has always been one of those powerhouses in the state of New Mexico. This year might not be so much, but Las Cruces has always had a great football program. And I believe what really helped Eastwood in this one was the fact that you've mentioned it before, Ryan, they're not afraid to schedule these big time opponents. And they're coming off a week of playing the number, I believe, 4 in the state of Texas, currently South Lake Carroll. And I believe that really helped them, because it really showed those kids the difference in speed, the difference in size, and the difference in competition in the top Texas teams. And I think that really is going to help Eastwood moving forward, because, I take nothing away from El Paso football players. And so, but when you get to that state level football, it's a different animal there. And if you see it early on this season, I think it really helps you the rest of the season, because you know what to expect and what type of competition is out there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Going on, I guess the last two we'll touch real quick. We'll hit up Canutillo Coronado. That was a pretty tough game, and we were even considering that one being our game of the week, just because Coronado came off that big win that was kind of a surprise to most of us versus Chapin, and Canutillo suffered that loss to Pebble Hills. But it was one of those again. Do we know, is Pebble Hills that good, or is Canutillo that bad, or But in this game, the Canutillo Eagles were the ones that took control. LJ Martin, he really showed he could do it all. He can run, he can pass, he's the kicker. He did it all in this game and really carried the Canutillo Eagles. But still got to give credit, Coronado Thunderbirds, they scored 20 points. They held their own. And you know what? I think Coach Price is building their team in the right direction, I'd say.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, moving forward, that 6A, that entire 6A district is just going to be very fun to watch. It's going to be a lot of moving parts. You're going to see a lot of people fighting for that number 1 spot. Right now, the heavy odds-on favorite is Pebble Hills, but I wouldn't completely put Coronado out of that top 4 competition there. I
Sure.
think
I mean,
Coronado's really
I
gonna.
wouldn't count out Franklin, man. I've been
Yeah,
riding
no.
Franklin High this whole year, so
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
I mean that Coronado Franklin matchup is gonna be really fun to watch. Really fun.
Yep. And the last one, and I think this is just more of a shout out than really a game recap, but I want to
Mhm.
shout out the Bel Air Highlanders, man. I mean,
Oh yeah.
they're 2-0. They haven't come off on this hot of a start in a while. Took out a 6-8 team, 48-0. I know it was Socorro, but you know what? It doesn't matter. They got the job done, and they took it to them. They took it to Irvin last week. So if anything, this is going to build momentum going into the district play for them.
Oh yeah, you said it perfectly, Ryan. That momentum right now, going 2-0, winning 2 big games by big numbers, putting up big points, and I think that they're gonna have a lot of momentum moving forward to their games, and especially once they get into the district play. Watch out for the Bel Air Highlanders. You're gonna be hearing a lot about them throughout the year.
All right. And I guess that ends up our football recap. A lot of big games. And, with a lot of big games comes a lot of big performances, Jerry. And you know what? This week, we weren't left disappointed. So next up, we have the Prep1's Soaring 7. So I'll go ahead and let you start this one off, Jerry. I'll let you go and we'll just alternate in order here.
Okay, perfect. Number one, you got Eastwood High School's QB Evan Minjares. We just touched on it. He had 7 TD passes. He had 432 yards passing. That's practically video game numbers right there. That is
I mean, to be honest,
ridiculous.
is I don't know. I mean, is that a record or is that an Eastwood record? Because I can't recall too many games in El Paso where a quarterback threw 7 touchdown passes.
No, I don't know. And in this day and age, Ryan, I mean, that's everyone passes the ball, but when you do it with such ease and perfection as this kid's doing, I mean, it's a thing of beauty to watch. And
and not only that, but
they're doing
he also ran one in for a touchdown as well. It was only from 1 yard out, but I mean, he counted for 8 touchdowns in that game. So
8 touchdowns by one player. I mean, that's just ridiculous there. And I mean, that just goes to show how Eastwood, like I said, I had touched on it before, playing these big teams really helps them. It really gives them that edge. It gives them that momentum because they know what's out there. They know what you need to do to be the best. And so knowing that, I know that was a lot of fuel for this Eastwood team. And QB is your leader, your general, and he proved it right here. He led his team with the stats. He led this team with the attitude, especially against a New Mexico powerhouse in Las Cruces, and that was a big game by him, and that's why he's our Prep1 Soaring 7 number 1 this week.
you know what, man? And this week was like really the battle of quarterbacks, or
Mhm.
it was like the week that quarterbacks really broke out. Uh, from going out to number 2, Riverside High School's quarterback Angel Speedy Munoz. Okay, he did it all in this game. He had 293 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. He had 274 yards passing for
Mhm.
2 touchdowns, and he even returned a kickoff 77 yards to the house for 1 touchdown. So
Mhm.
he's doing it. He's doing it all over the field in special teams, passing the ball, running the ball, and he was even playing
Yeah.
defense as well. So
Wow.
you know, this just goes to show you this kid's an athlete. More schools need to be looking
Mhm.
out for him. He's gonna get some more offers. Shout out to Speedy Munoz. Good job in that week 2 win.
Oh
Week
yeah.
3, I'll let you handle week 3.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
sorry,
and
number
just
3. Number 3.
number 3, not week 3, number 3. Just to touch on Angel Munoz, also, I just wanted to mention this was pretty much almost his first game playing.
That's
As you
true.
recall, last week little issue happened, got tossed out of the game. So this was his really truly first showing up, and that's a great first showing,
Yeah, I mean,
for
he played
anybody.
one
And it
quarter
was a
last
great, yeah.
played one quarter last week, and
Hmm.
this is his first real game. And
You know,
just goes to show you when he's on the field, he's dangerous.
oh yeah, and they always say make up for your mistakes, and I believe that's exactly what he did. Number 3, you have El Paso High School's running back Lorenzi Johnson. He had 259 yards rushing and 3 TDs. Uh, Big, look out for this kid's name because he was a big part back and forth battle with Hanks. A big, huge part of that Tiger win. And like I said, look for his name more often. We're gonna probably mention it more than once this year. And El
Mm-hmm.
Paso High, 2-0, they're doing good. Let's see if they can keep this momentum going. One of
Mm-hmm.
those surprises that we didn't really see coming, but hey, that's what we want. We want to be surprised. We want that.
All right, going down to number 4, sticking to the west side, Canutillo High School. And we've heard his name before. It's the Stanford commit, running back L.J.
Mm-hmm.
Martin, 258 yards, rushing 3 touchdowns. Like I said, this kid can do it all too. He's throwing the ball, he's punting, and he just overall carries that team on his back. And this week he gets the recognition he deserves in that win over Coronado. So congrats to LJ. Going at number 5, Jerry, go ahead and take it.
You got Pebble Hills High School. You got QB Gael Ochoa. You said it was a battle of the QBs. Had 171 yards passing, 4 TDs, run rushing TD. Again, big game against a very good Del Valle team, in my opinion. Scored, didn't show it, but you got to show up and show out, and that's what this kid did.
Awesome. Number 6, and again, another battle of the QB. Staying in the west side, you got from Franklin High School. You got quarterback Shea Smith. Shea Smith got the job done, throwing for 220 yards and rushing for 87 yards as well, and 5 total touchdowns. Okay, and this coming in a big win over the Andress High School Eagles. Okay, so a lot of people were counting Franklin out because they had that tough loss already in week 1, but again, that was a tough team. Franklin comes out. They really showed that they are a team to be reckoned with. So stay on the lookout. And you know what? Congrats to Shea Smith. Way to ball out. Number 7, Jerry, it's all you.
Number 7, you got Mountain View High School rounding off the Soaring 7. Defensive back Jaden Avila. He had 7 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 1 pick six against that win against Cathedral. He did. He put up big numbers on the defensive side of the ball. Just goes to show you there, you don't have to be an offensive player to put up big numbers. You just got to ball out. And that's exactly what this kid did for that Mountain View Lobo team.
Yep. Congrats to all members of the Soaring 7. And next week, let's look for some more top performances so we can issue out a new Soaring 7. So now it's that time, Jerry, for our Prep 1's weekly top 10. And again, we see some movement. The way it basically works is if you win your games, you stay in the top 10. If you lose your games, you're probably going to get dropped. So that's kind of how we're going with this. So, Pebble Hills won last week. They won this week. So they remain our number 1 team of the week. Del Valle, suffered a big loss, so they dropped all the way down. Riverside wins, so Riverside is our new number 2. Eastwood suffered that tough loss last week to South Lake Carroll, but came back in a big way against Las Cruces, got it done, and they are our number 3. Similar situation with Franklin. Tough loss week 1, big win week 2, and they come in at number 4. Canutillo Eagles, they bounced back off a week 1 loss to our number 1 team. They come back, they get a win, and they are our number 5 team. East Lake Falcons went out. They suffered a tough loss in New Mexico, but they end up at number 6 in our rankings. El Dorado played an overtime win over Chapin to remain in number 7 in our rankings. Obviously, Del Valle, they had a tough loss against our number 1, so they fall from number 2 all the way down to number 8. Entering our rankings for the first time, this team, hadn't been in our rankings, was on the radar outside looking in, but with 2 big wins to start off the year, the Bel Air Highlanders come in at number 9. And number 10, finally getting that week 2 win after they suffered a week 1 win against El Dorado. Parkland Matadors, they've been in a close one against the Austin Panthers, but they're showing that they're still a team to be reckoned with, and that is our Prep 1's power rankings. You agree, disagree? What do you think, Jerry?
Oh no, I think it's really good there. Like you said, you win, you stay in, you lose, you're out. Again, like we said, there's a lot of great competition here. I love Riverside's balling out. That's why they're up there. You got Del Valle. Yeah, they had a loss, but like I said, there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of potential in Parkland too. So, look for those teams to move up in the rankings, in my opinion, moving forward.
Awesome. And now it comes down to that time where we give our predictions and we talk about our game of the week. So this is the
Yes,
football
sir.
week 3 schedule, and just to let you know, this week we're gonna be out on a Thursday instead of a Friday.
Mhm.
Myself and Jerry will be out at the West Side Bowl to
Out
see
of
the
the Sun
Coronado
Bowl.
Thunderbirds and the Franklin Cougars. That's gonna be a fun game. Shea Smith versus this up and coming Cougar squad. I mean, up and coming Thunderbird squad led by Mike Pride, Pride of the West Side. A lot of bragging rights in this game, and it's a district game. It's gonna be a big one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, big way to start off your 6A schedule with the rivalry. I think that's awesome. That's going to be fun to watch on a Thursday night. Look for a good crowd to be out there, and it's going to be a great game.
Cool. Well, let's go right through it. We don't have a whole lot of time, so let's rank
Mhm.
through these predictions. Coronado versus Franklin. I love it. I think it's an exciting rivalry, but I think Franklin's just got too much firepower, and I'm going Cougars all day in this one, Jerry.
I'm going to agree with you, Ryan. I think Franklin, like you said, has a lot of power there. They're just they're just really really good this year. They have a lot of firepower, like you said, and yeah, I'm going to go with Franklin in that one as well.
Okay, next up we got the America's Trailblazers and the Mountainwood Rams. Another district rivalry. This one, I think it's two teams evenly matched, well matched on paper. And honestly, this is one of those to me where I can flip a coin, and I think either
Mhm.
team could win this one. But I just flipped the coin, and yeah, it says right here the Mountainwood Rams are going to win it, so I'm going with the Rams.
I'm gonna go with the Mountainwood Rams too. I think they've had a better showing against these Panhandle teams, the Rio Grande Valley teams. So I think Mountainwood, has a little bit of an edge over Americas.
All right, we got the Eastwood Troopers versus the number 1 Pebble Hill Spartans, a battle between number 1
Mhm.
and 3 for us. And you know what? After seeing both teams live myself, Pebble
Mhm.
Hill's defense, they looked great. Offensively, they got things a little bit more going against Del Valle. But, Eastwood Troopers, I feel like they're really battle tested. Played South Lake Carroll,
Yeah.
they came back healthy, and offensively, I just so many weapons. I don't see how you're going to stop them. I think it's going to be Eastwood Troopers in this one, taking down the Pebble Hill Spartans.
I think Pebble Hills is gonna stay on top there. The unfortunate thing is, again, this is a matinee game on Friday at 4 p.m. out at the SAC, so not a whole lot of people are gonna be able to see it because of work and school and all of that. But I think Pebble Hills defense is gonna be a big factor in this one. I think they're gonna really hold their own against that Eastwood offense. So I think Pebble Hills will get this one.
All right, let's try to rapid fire second row. So second row, we got
Yes.
Fort Stockton Panthers against the Horizon Scorpions. You know what? Fort Stockton took a tough one against Austin, so I'm going to say Fort Stockton in this one.
You know what? I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna agree. Fort Stockton on this one as well over Horizon.
Okay, Mountain View Lobos versus the Seminole Indians. I'm going with DJ Check's Lobos in this one, taking down Seminole.
Uh, Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go against you on this one. I think I'm gonna do Seminole. Seminole's coming in to the El Paso area for this game, but I think Seminole is the winner in this one.
All right. Canutillo Eagles over Austin Panthers. I mean, I don't know if we have to question this, but I assume Canutillo Eagles all day.
Yeah, me too. Kenny too. Austin, they still got a lot more to prove.
Mm-hmm. Gadsden Panthers, Clinton Lions. Two tough, scrappy teams, but I'm rolling with the Clinton Lions in this one.
I'm gonna go with Clint as well. Texas football, baby.
All right. Next up, we got Fabian's Wildcats versus the Cathedral Fighting Irish. You know what? Fabian's is on a roll right now. They're doing well. I'm gonna run with the Wildcats on this one, Jerry.
I'm gonna Fabian's Cathedral is always a good matchup. It always comes down to the wire. You know what? I'll go with Cathedral on this one. I think Cathedral will take it to Fabian's.
Okay. El Paso Tigers, San Elizario Eagles. You know what? Coach Aguilar is going back to his
Mhm.
former school, former stomping grounds, but
Yeah.
I think the Tigers got way too much for the Eagles to handle. I think that's all El Paso High in this one.
Yeah, I agree. El Paso High, look for them to go 3-0 starting out the season. So I go El Paso High.
Next up, you got Del Valle versus Andres. And to me, this is really one of those battles of the teams to bounce back. They both suffered tough losses last week, and I think this is one of those where we can really see what both teams are made of. Um, Again, I think this is a flip the coin kind of game. It can go either
Toss that
way.
coin, Ryan. Toss it up in the air. Let's go.
All right. I'm going with the Del Valle Conquistadores.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Andrews Eagles on this one.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna be playing at home.
Sticking
They're
to
gonna
your
play in the
side of town, huh?
Northeast. Yeah,
Of course.
a little
Homer.
bit,
Homer. No,
little
I'm
bit of
just
a homer. But that's gonna be a great game to watch out. And I think Andrews is gonna probably pull it together, come over to Del Valle, and like you said, both coming off losses, so look for them both trying to prove something.
Bowie Bears versus the Isleta Indians. This is another tough one. Bowie inconsistent team and Isleta kind of an inconsistent team. I'm hoping the Indians figure it out and they come out with that win this week.
I agree. I think right now Bowie's really working on a lot of things. They're rebuilding, so I think Isleta's going to take this one.
Okay, you got the Irvin Rockets versus the Hanks Knights. Irvin starting out the year, and it's been a struggle for them. Hanks, had a great week 1 win and a tough loss to the El Paso High Tigers, but they seem to be figuring some things out. So I'm going to go with the Hanks Knights in this one.
I'll agree. I think the Hanks Knights are gonna, really take it to them especially coming off of a great game against El Paso High.
Next up, Riverside Rangers, Jefferson Silver Foxes. I think this would be one of the tougher opponents Riverside faces, but I think offensively they got too much for the Foxes to handle. I'm going to say Riverside in this one.
I think Jefferson's going to stay in the game most of the game. But like I said, that dual threat that you got there at Riverside, I think Riverside's going to take it.
All right. Next up, you got Parkland Matadors, Burgess Mustangs. I think this is going to be the week where Parkland really starts getting things clicking, and they're going to be rolling all cylinders offensively. I'm going to say Parkland Matadors in this one.
Yeah, I agree. If Parkland needs to get rolling, this is the game to do it. Is against Burgess. I go with Parkland winning big on this one.
And then you got Hatch Valley Bears versus the Anthony Wildcats. And you know what? Wildcats have been rolling 2-0. No reason for me to bet against them now. So Anthony all day.
Texas versus New Mexico. You got to go Texas all day, baby.
Yeah, and you know what? Same thing can be said for our next matchup, Bel Air versus Chaparral. Bel Air riding that 2-game win streak, and it's going to be 3 games after this one. Bel Air Highlanders with the win.
Same. Bel Air is going the same route as El Paso High, going 3-0.
And our final game, you got the El Dorado Aztecs and the East Lake Falcons. This is This is going to be a tough one, man. Both teams, they've got a lot going on. You've got some young kids in El Dorado squad. You got a good defense with East Lake coming off of a loss, El Dorado coming off of a overtime win. You know what? I'm sorry, Coach Rodriguez, for doing this to you, but you know what? I gotta ride the Estrada brother trip bandwagon. I'm gonna go El Dorado in this one. But
El Dorado?
Yeah, I'm gonna go El Dorado, and I'm sorry, Coach Rod.
It's just to make it fun, I'm gonna go against you, and I'm gonna say East Lake because this is again one of those toss-up games. El Dorado's rolling right now. They have a great group of kids playing. They got a star, freshman running back doing big things. I think East Lake has a bad taste of their mouth after leaving Rio Rancho losing by 1 score. So I think East Lake's going to come out on top on this one.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me, and I could definitely see that. So that's definitely something to look for. And you know what? I think we're going to have a ton of good games to watch this upcoming week, Jerry. It's going to be an exciting week 3 of Texas high school football, especially with those district games already starting to play. Just to recap, what's the big thing we're looking for in cross country? What's coming up this week?
This week, you really got to look at all those 6A schools coming up. Those meets are going to be big. And then also, like I said, you have individual kids coming out of that, like out of Tornillo, out of Sanelli. But I think that 6A, Eastwood, Franklin, those are the big teams to watch week in and week out moving forward.
Awesome volleyball, like we already mentioned. pretty much our entire Prep 1 top 10 is doing battle tomorrow. So a lot of big games that you're going to have to come out and watch for. And we already mentioned right now, top games in football. So, really, when it's all said and done, we're looking for another action-packed week. All you athletes, go out there and do what you got to do, ball out, and show us what you're made of, and do what you got to do so we can get your name on the map. Any last words?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, you got to show up, show out, get noticed. We're here to help you guys ball out every week, and it's a lot of fun watching you guys.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to us. Don't forget, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and give us reviews, give us shout outs. Follow us on all of our social media on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah. And until next week, this is Ryan Vidales and my co-host,
Alvarez.
And this is the Prep1 podcast. Thank you guys for listening.